Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here in Western Canada. I hope everybody is having an awesome week so far. Students, this is an IELTS listening class. We started this listening exam last week, and today we're looking at listening parts 3 and 4, the more difficult parts of the listening section. If you missed last week's class, no worries, it's up on YouTube. Just make sure to subscribe to the channel so that you are able to attend all of these live classes and catch up on materials. Welcome, Anna. Welcome, Carolina, our chat moderator. You will see Carolina's name in blue in the chat, everybody, and she is here to help us with this class to make it run smoothly. I'm looking at the chat here, looking at Carolina, and welcome students. Great to have you all here. Everybody, this lesson, these materials are presented to you by aehelp.com for academic IELTS. Visit us there. For the general IELTS, check us out at gieltshelp.com. These are our websites. They power these live classes. We are using the websites today for the listening audio. Everybody, this is what the academic IELTS website looks like here. To get access to all of our premium course live classes on Thursdays and Fridays, and just click this big red button. That's right over there. It's a one-time payment. You get lifetime access. It costs about 30 to 50 bucks US, and it's definitely a good investment of your money. We help thousands of students every single week succeed on their IELTS tests. For the general IELTS, it's gieltshelp.com. We're an IDP affiliate, a British Council partner, and an IELTS test registration center. We're here to help you succeed. Students, if you do sign up, again, you have classes on Thursdays and Fridays. On YouTube, we have classes today and tomorrow, so Tuesdays and Wednesdays. If you're curious about what those premium student classes look like on Zoom, you can check out this playlist here, and you're welcome to ask questions, of course, as well. I'll put that link into the chat. We have a brand new discount code for you as well. It will give you 10% off on the website. It's up9 for you. You can use these codes when you are on the website. You click that big red button and then you enter the code up9 for you, and that will give you that 10% additional discount from the premium course. The premium course has lots and lots of videos, practice exams, interactive materials for you, and we'll come back to it in just a second to listen to our audio. You also have apps for your phone, Academic IELTS Help, General IELTS Help. These apps will link to their respective websites, so aehelp.com and gieltshelp.com, so you can learn anywhere on the go through mobile. If you have questions, just send me an email, adrian@aehelp.com or admin@aehelp.com. We like questions. We want to help you, so feel free to send us a message. So again, right now it's listening. We're focusing on parts 3 and parts 4. We're going to listen together, answer questions together. I will tell you some strategies, and you'll get some good practice. Tomorrow it's speaking, and then on Thursday for our premium users it's task 2 writing, followed by speaking on Friday. Very exciting, students. We've got a brand new Band 9 speaking video sample up for you on YouTube with an individual named Yash. He is an amazing candidate. He has actually passed the IELTS. He currently lives in Canada, and him and his partner have done an excellent job on our new videos with these mock IELTS speaking interviews. Check that out. I'll put the link into the chat. This is, of course, up on YouTube. Has anybody seen it? Anybody who's already in the chat, have you seen the new video? What are your thoughts? Let us know. Send us an email. And again, we've got this new discount code for you, which is up9 for you. Up9 for you. To help you improve and go for that Band 9 score on your IELTS exam. Okay, Mariadna says thumbs up for Yash. Yash says it's me, sir. Are you the Yash in the video? Zoroslava, welcome to our members. Good to see all of you. Okay, students, let's take a look at this this listening for today. So this listening exam is coming from your second exam book on the website for those of you who have access to all of our materials, and the audio is found on the fourth part or fourth CD. Last week we discussed a student who was registering for classes and for a university tour for parts 1 and parts 2. So now we'll move into part 3. Okay, everybody hopefully has their English caps on and you're ready to listen. The topic for part 3 will be something about zoos, so animal zoos, right, where people go and look at interesting and exotic animals from around the world that are not in their local fauna. Like elephants, tigers, lions, and in this case it will be a couple of professors discussing the ethical value of zoos. So are zoos a good or a bad thing for society? And then for part 4 we'll be looking at a lecture on the loggerhead turtle, or I should say listening to a lecture on the loggerhead turtle. That's the very famous sea turtle. It's quite large and has quite an incredible life. The reason I'm telling you the topics for part 3 and part 4 is because really in the actual exam, when you start the listening section, everyone, and this is my first tip to you here, when you start the listening section of the IELTS exam, you have about 1 minute instructions. So they tell you this is the listening section, it has 4 parts, etc., etc. And during that 1 minute time, you should review the topic of each of the 4 listening parts, just so your brain is getting used to those ideas and searching for information around those ideas. So the first tip here, everybody, make sure to use the 1 minute instructions at the start of the listening section to review the topics of each of the 4 parts. Okay, and you're definitely allowed to do that. Okay, if somebody tells you otherwise, that's not true. The vigilators should know that you're allowed to do that. If you're doing the computer-based exam, when the instructions are happening, it does let you skip through to look at the topics and the questions there. Okay. Of Bia Desire is asking, how are the answers typed in the computer exam, all capitals or small letters? You can use all capital letters of Bia for the reading and listening section, but for the writing section you should use correct upper and lower case. I don't recommend using all upper case letters. That will take away from your mark. Okay. All right, students, so I'm looking at the chat. We will go through the answers. Make sure to put your listening answers on a separate sheet or in a separate document, not in the chat. Okay, give everybody a chance to give their own answers, and then we'll share them after. Okay, so let's do this. Let's get into the listening. I'm going to put my headset on. If you've got a headset, use it. That's what you use in the actual exams. They give you headsets. Okay, and again, we'll go to our question sheet here. Back to part 3 is what we're starting with, and then we'll hop over to the website, go to our My Student account. Again, in your My Student account on the websites, for those of you who have access, you have computer-based practice tests, you have a full interactive course, you have printable exams as well, and then lots and lots of videos to give you instructions and for practice. And then we have our CDs. So let's go to CD for track 3.
Now turn to section 3.
Okay, so here we go, everybody. Here we turn to section 3. Okay. Meanwhile, I'm looking at Taste Explorer here. You got a band 8 on the IELTS. That's awesome. I'm glad we were able to help. Send us a testimonial. Okay. All right, students, get ready. You will only hear the audio once. Okay. And do your best to answer all the questions.
Take some time to look at questions 21 to 26.
21, match the professor with the university. 22 to 24, which 3 of the following arguments are given against zoos? Take notes for this part. 25, in order to improve the condition of zoo animals, zoos must be held to. While zoos do conserve animal life, Dr. Gergen argues this function could also
you will hear
be
a panel
performed by
discussion
animal
on the
something.
ethics of
There's a noun
zoos.
that goes in here.
Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 26.
Welcome everyone to this very special evening. Tonight's speakers are 2 distinguished scholars. Dr. Henry Gergen from the University of Edinburgh is a philosopher and animal rights advocate. Dr. Gloria Mesto from Trinity College Dublin is an animal conservationist. Welcome to you both. The topic of tonight's discussion is the ethics of zoos. Here is the fundamental question. Is it right to house animals in zoos, or should they live freely in nature instead?
As an animal rights advocate and theorist, I have clear views on this question. To me, it is fundamentally wrong to lock up animals for human enjoyment. I believe that in many important respects, animals are persons, and should be afforded many of the rights that human beings have. Chief among these is the right to liberty and the freedom to achieve one's desired ends in life. Clearly, these rights are abrogated by imprisonment within the zoo. Moreover, in many cases, animals in zoos are treated inhumanely and are subject to confinement in extremely small spaces. While regulation of zoos may help mitigate some of these problems, I maintain that zoos are fundamentally unethical.
I certainly understand Dr. Gergen's position, and I do agree on some of his points, most notably that zoos must be held to higher standards of animal treatment than they are currently. But my colleague fails to consider an important point in favor of zoos. The conservation of species is an incredibly important endeavor, and zoos are on the front line in the battle to save hundreds of species of animals around the world. Zoos often employ some of the leading experts in the field who are best equipped to carry out this important task. It is for this reason that I believe zoos are justified. Though they may not be perfect, I believe zoos and the experts they employ play a critical role in the conservation of species and therefore are ethically permissible.
Dr. Gergen, do you have a rebuttal to that point?
Yes, certainly. While I appreciated Dr. Mester's position as a conservationist, and I do appreciate the work she and others like her do for animal welfare around the world, I must disagree with her. While zoos certainly do play a role in animal conservation, it is not because they are zoos that they play this role.
Dr. Gergen, can you clarify that point for the audience?
Of course. What I mean is this. It is not inherent in the idea of a zoo that they conserve animals. The notions are separable. You can have an animal conservation effort that is not a zoo, just as you can have a zoo that has nothing to do with conservation. So while it is true that some zoos act as animal preserves, this does not justify the existence of zoos, since we could easily separate out these animal preserves from zoos themselves.
Fair point. But such animal preserves would still have the associated problems of poor treatment and unsuitable living conditions.
Yes, but at least it would be in an effort towards a positive end. The animals would not be captive forever, and they would not be captive merely for a human audience.
You now have some time to look at questions 27 to 30.
Okay, enjoyment and some noun are 2 key positive attributes of zoos. All right, here we got some multiple choice. Does the value of inspiring young people outweigh the negative of zoos? Okay.
Now listen to the rest of the interview and answer questions 27 to 30.
What about the enjoyment and education that zoos provide, especially to young people? Perhaps individuals like yourselves were inspired to become animal advocates by attending a zoo when you were a child.
That is a really interesting point. I was indeed inspired by going to a zoo when I was a child. What do you think, Dr. Gergen?
It is an interesting thought. What if the positive outcomes caused by inspiring people like us to do good in the future outweigh the harms done to zoo animals? I'm not sure. I would have to think about it more, but it's certainly an interesting question.
Well, thank you. I'll take that as a compliment. In closing, I'm not sure how much progress we've made, but is it safe to say that we can all agree that zoos, at the very least, must do their best to improve the treatment of animals and the conditions in which the animals live?
I would certainly agree with that, as I'm sure my friends would also agree.
That is the end of section 3. You will now have half a minute to check your answers.
Okay, students, and make sure to check those answers in that half minute. Don't skip to the next part. Okay, you'll have time later to transfer answers to the answer key. Let me just stop the audio and we'll go through the answers together. So here, the discussion is about zoos, whether they are good or bad. IELTS is logical. They don't lie, so they give an honest perspective according to the context of the audio. And when they have multiple people like this, they will often introduce who is who. Okay, so keep that in mind. Who is who? Who is who? On the IELTS listening, you will have at least one part, but more likely 2 parts, often part 2 and part 3, where there are multiple speakers, multiple people speaking. So the first step to getting a good band score in the listening section when you have that is to make sure that you identify that you know which speaker is called what. So here, just a quick tip again. So when you have multiple speakers in the audio, the first step is to carefully and quickly figure out who is who in the audio. And the IELTS will try to help you with that sometimes, so they'll give you a question that focuses on that. In this case, this very first question, question number 21, says match the professor with their university. So this question really, the focus is, it's not meant to be too difficult. It's just meant for you to figure out who we're talking about. Okay. So number 1 is Dr. Henry Gergen, it's the male voice, and number 2 is Dr. Gloria Mesto, it's the female voice. And some of the questions then will relate to their names. Okay, so hopefully you can figure this out very quickly and early in the audio to help you get those higher scores. So number 1, Dr. Henry Gergen, is he from the University of Edinburgh or Trinity College, Dublin? Is it A or is it B that goes into this number 1, students? Did you catch that? Okay, that's an important catch. If you didn't catch that, you definitely want to start by practicing identifying the speakers. Okay, Zorislava says that 1 is A and 2 is B, and Zorislava, you're absolutely correct. Okay, now remember this is just question 21, so in your paper-based exam you would have a 21 like this and a box around it, and then you would put A for 1 like that, so 1A, comma 2 is B like that. Okay, Zorislava, what you're doing in the chat there is absolutely perfect for this question. Okay, so if you wrote it like that, that would be fine. I do recommend using consistent capital letters, so if you've got a capital A there, Zorislava, make sure to also has a capital B. Okay, so now that we know who is who, okay, we can answer the rest of the questions a little bit easier. This is a multiple choice question, everybody. For these questions, it's really tricky to try to read all of the answers and pay attention to them, especially because only 3 of the 6 will be discussed. So a much better strategy for this type of question is to focus on notes, okay? And you have note paper, even in the computer-based exam, you have a piece of paper and a pen, so you can write down some words, some ideas that you hear, okay? For this one, I wrote down a few different points that Dr. Gergen mentioned. He says zoos are fundamentally wrong because they're for fun, so we're locking up animals for fun. He also said animals are persons, so they have emotions, they have thoughts. A person doesn't necessarily mean a human. A person means an animal that's self-aware and thinking, including humans, right? So he said animals are persons. And then he also says animals have a right to freedom. And he said zoos treat animals inhumanely, so putting them in cages, right? Again, very visual. So in the listening, you want to be very visual. Okay. In the meantime, students, I am looking at the chat, so you can put your answers in the chat and we'll check them. So the chat is right here beside the exam sheet for me. So I'm looking at your questions and your thoughts and your responses. Okay. So when you take notes for this kind of a question, now this is question 22 to 24, so it's worth 3 points. Okay. We basically look at what is there. So treated inhumanely, that's there. The animals are treated inhumanely. That's in my notes. Okay, so that looks correct. Animals are persons. Yep, I wrote that in my notes as well. So B seems to be there. The conservation of species, I did not hear that. That does not look like an argument against zoos. Animals should not be in prison. Prison is for humans. Prison is a place where humans are punished for committing crimes. So there's no talk about prison. Okay. Animals are human beings and should be treated equally. They're not human beings. So in this case, they say persons. So this one does not look correct. They are fundamentally wrong. The professor says that twice, right? So that one's correct. So the correct answers for this one are A, B, and F. And if you took some good notes, you don't have to answer this right away. You can answer this question at the end of the audio when it gives you time to review. And that's what I would do, okay? So again, just an important tip here, everybody. For multiple choice questions, take notes carefully and answer the question at the end of the listening part. Match your notes with the choices. This is the fastest and most accurate way to do it. Okay. All right, does that make sense, everybody, for that one? I see of BA got it, A, B, and F. Ariadna got it, A, B, and F. Very good, Ariadna. Very good, of BA. You get a big thumbs up, one for each of you in the chat. That was well done. So yeah, you need to just make sure you're using the right strategy. Those students, even who have great English and try to do these questions while listening, just by looking at the answers, often get confused, fall behind, miss the next question. So make sure you're using the correct strategy there. Ariadna says, okay, good. Okay, and then we had the fill in the blanks. So in order to improve the conditions for zoo animals, zoos must be held to something of animal treatment, and it says no more than 2 words and or a number. Okay, make sure you pay attention to that. If you miss one of these, you can almost take like a really good guess. As long as you have a decent English vocabulary, you can sometimes guess these blanks because the word that goes in is quite obvious, or the words. Okay. So some of you are saying, well, basically what needs to go in there is higher standards. Yeah, and that's the correct answer. So zoos need to be held to higher standards of animal treatment. Absolutely. Okay, those are the two words: higher standards of animal treatment. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Okay, that's the correct two words there. Okay. All right. Number 26. How's everybody doing so far? Are you able to keep up? Do you have any questions? Okay. If it feels like we're going a little bit fast, that's okay. This is the speed you should be thinking and using your English in the real IELTS exam for the listening section if you're aiming for those higher band scores like 7, 8, 9. Okay. So number 26, while zoos do conserve animal life, Dr. Gergen argues that this function could also be performed by animal something. And it's one word here that they repeat. Okay, so listen for words that are being repeated by the speakers. They are often one of the correct answers. Okay, so that is another valuable tip for today. Now, there's no guarantee, students, that it is the right answer, but there's a good chance. So you have to pay attention and catch those words that are being repeated. Okay. Oral John, higher standards was not a guess. I actually heard them say that. So Ariadna says for number 26 it's preserves, and Zoroslava agrees. Yeah, and both of you are absolutely right. That's the word that was repeated by the two speakers. They kept talking about how animal preserves could potentially replace zoos. They're not the best solution, but at least animals are being kept for human enjoyment only. Okay, and you should make sure to catch that plural. It was preserves, not just preserve, okay, but multiple preserves, right? If you are hearing new words while you're practicing your IELTS, make sure to write them down, or new collocations. So animal preserves, okay, are special parks that are reserved for animals to live and thrive. Okay, so look at the word preserve and look at the word reserve. Okay, so many of you probably know the word reserve, but maybe the word preserves in this context is new for you. Preserve means to keep or to hold, to keep safe. Okay. Dexter, these exams are on our website. You can find simulating exams there. Okay. Good question, Dexter. All right. So write down those new words, especially new collocations. Collocations, word pairs are really important for the IELTS exam. So learn them. Okay, and use them right away. So if you can say animal preserves today at some point, then say that. Okay, all right. Okay, number 27, enjoyment and something are two key positive attributes of zoos. This answer came very, very quickly when the audio started. It was emphasized. Okay, and again, if you missed it, you might be able to guess this. And who was that? Oral John was asking, did I guess that answer? No, but this one I might guess in the real exam if I missed it, because I can imagine going to a zoo and I'm having a good time. And what else am I doing in a zoo when I'm visiting a zoo? Just think about it, right? I'm learning about the animals, where they live, where they come from, interesting facts about their habits and their habitats. So enjoyment and education. Okay, we've got two students who are on the ball today. Zoroslava and Ariadna say enjoyment and education. Yeah, absolutely, right? And again, if you miss this, you might be able to take a good guess and get it right anyway. Okay. But in order to have good logic for your listening, it's really important to stay calm, students, okay? So here I'm going to give you another tip. Using good logic on the IELTS listening can save you several marks. But in order to do this effectively, you must stay calm, okay? If you're really nervous or logic doesn't work so well, so just stay calm. Even if you miss a question, just stay calm, okay? All right. Number 28. Choose the correct letter A, B, or C. So it's multiple choice with 3 choices. Again, for these questions, you want to think about them as statements, as what the people or the speakers might say in the audio. So 28, according to Dr. Gergen, who is the male speaker, right? This is where we want to make sure that we keep in mind that this is the male speaker that's being referenced. Does the value of inspiring young people outweigh the negative aspects of zoos? So here I'm listening for some kind of a sentence like zoos inspire young people and this does or doesn't, or I'm not sure. What does he say? Yeah, he says C, he's not sure. He says he'll have to think about that. So C is the correct answer. He is unsure. And in this case, he actually said that very clearly. The answer won't always be that straightforward. Sometimes it will be paraphrased. So he might say something like, I'm not certain, or I'm not 100% clear on that. Okay, so he's unsure. In this case, we're a little bit lucky because he actually says, I'm not sure. I'll have to think about that. Okay, he doesn't say, nobody says he is unsure. He just says, I am unsure. Okay, if you got that, good job. Good job, okay? That was, really had to be patient there. And that answer is kind of intertwined with the interesting question. So what is the interesting question? Now, when you have these little quotation marks, okay, it means they're going to say exactly that, and they do. A couple of times, in fact. So what is that interesting question? Whether zoos are ethical. Does everybody know the word ethical? Ethical means fair or good according to human decision. Okay. B is whether the inspiration value of zoos outweighs their negative aspects. C, whether enjoyment and inspiration negate the importance of zoos. Now, if we got the previous question correct, then we can assume that the correct answer here is B. Whether the inspiration value of zoos outweighs their negative aspects. Okay, so the correct answer there was B. That's what they're talking about, right? So that's the interesting question, right? Are zoos valuable for letting people know about animals and inspiring them to be kind to animals and to save or help nature, right? That's the question they're discussing. Okay. And then here, number 30, what do the guests agree on? This was a little bit tricky. The host says, is it safe to say? Now these are expressions, and again, when you hear a new expression, you want to make sure that you write it down and you learn it when you're preparing for the IELTS. Of course, you don't do that in the real IELTS, okay? So always write down new words, vocabulary, phrases, and expressions that you encounter during your IELTS studies. And here's a good example. Okay, and you can repeat after me, students. Is it safe to say? Is it safe to say that we need to improve zoo conditions? Is it safe to say? Okay. This expression means, can we agree that? Okay, is it safe to say? Can we agree that? Okay, that's what that means. So definitely this part here, agreeing. Zoo conditions need to be improved. Zoos are unethical. The inspiration value of zoos is unethical. The correct answer, and I think a lot of you got it here, is zoo conditions need to be improved. And again, logic can help you with that, right? So you put A in your answer sheet. In the computer-based exam, you just pick it, and then you're good to go. Okay. All right, so that was part 3 about zoos. Any questions? I've got one for you. How did you do out of 10? So what was your mark for part 3? Okay. How many did you get correct? Roshan says, I got 8. Roshan, 8 for part 3 is pretty good for sure. So if you're getting 8 right, that's pretty good. Ariadna says, I got all of them. Very nice, Ariadna. Students, a really important tip is make sure that you don't just do one listening test only one time when you're preparing for the IELTS. Do it at least 2-3 times, spread apart over the course of your preparation time. Abash says 7. 7 is good, Abash. Okay. Pretty Gal says 6. Pretty Gal. 6 is not bad. Okay. Nishuzi says, I got 5. And then the monkey, see no evil. Yeah, 5 is a little bit low. It's not bad, though. You definitely don't want to get anything less than 5. Okay. 5 is about as low as you should get on part 3. If you're getting lower than 5, then it might be hard to get a high band score. Okay, so if you're getting over 5, it's not bad. All right, depending on how good of a mark you need. If you need like a band 7.5 or higher, you need to get 7.8 correct at least. Okay, if you need a band 6.5 to enter a bachelor's, then 5.6 is okay. All right. So now we'll go on to part 4. Part 4 is going to be a little bit different because there's no break. So you answer all the questions with just one listening. There's no break in between like with part 1, 2, 3. So you have to really stay focused. Plus in part 4, you don't have really time to review all of the information because there's usually just too much. So you have to be thinking in real time. That's why part 4 is kind of testing for that band 9. Anna says it's challenging to take notes in multiple choice questions. I agree, Anna. It's a skill. Okay. So note taking is an important skill. For IELTS and for school, right? Like university and college. Okay. Just because you might be a good note taker in your native language doesn't mean it will translate to English or you can transfer that skill to English. So you have to practice your note taking skills for the IELTS and for school and for work as well in English. Okay. So it is very important to practice good note-taking skills in English. Just because you may be good at it in your native language does not mean that you are good at it in English. Keep that in mind, okay? It takes practice. Okay, thanks, Roshan. I appreciate you for saying that. That's very nice. It's flattering. Okay. Yeah, so Abraham says, yes, I agree, especially in multiple answers, because if we miss the audio while taking notes, it will lead to the wrong answer. Yeah, so for higher bands, right, like band 7, 8, 9, that's basically what they're trying to test. Can you listen and write notes at the same time? Okay, because that's what you need to do in university, and really they're trying to see if you will succeed in university. They don't want you to fail. They don't want you to waste your money, right? Okay. All right. Somebody's saying my voice is a little bit low, so I'll increase my volume. If anybody else is sensing that my voice is a little bit low, let me know. Okay. And I'll move the mic a little bit closer too. It should be pretty good though. My levels are showing pretty good. All right. Okay, students, let's go over to section 4. Okay. All right, thanks for saying that. I know it's good. And we'll listen to this audio on loggerhead turtles. Again, everybody, these materials, this audio is coming from our website, aehelp.com. We've got 6 full practice exams there for you. We've got some more coming soon. So when you go to your My Student account, after you join the premium version, you go to your audio CDs. And for this one, we'll go to exam for track 4. Here we go, everybody.
Now turn to section 4. Take some time to look at questions 31 to 40.
Okay, so we got to look at all 10. Not a lot of time there. The loggerhead turtle has to seek dry land to lay its eggs. The sandy beaches of something provide. The ocean is safer than the shore because it has fewer something. The turtle embarks on a journey that will take them. Okay. And then we've got here, as incredible as the loggerhead turtle's
Listening,
journey is,
section 4.
what makes it more impressive is that the loggerhead
You will hear a
turtle is
professor
something.
discussing the migration of loggerhead turtles.
So it's the life of the loggerhead turtle.
Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
It's late April on the South Atlantic coast of North America, and one of the most remarkable journeys in all of nature is about to begin. The loggerhead turtle, whose natural habitat is the open ocean, has to seek dry land to lay its eggs. The sandy beaches of Florida provide a perfect nesting spot, with soft sand that can be dug up by the persistent flippers of the female loggerhead. Over the course of the next 3 months, hundreds of thousands of eggs will be laid on such beaches. Many of these eggs will become the victim of predators, but many will survive to hatching, which occurs 2 months after being laid. Hatching marks the beginning of an incredible journey for the loggerhead turtle. Almost immediately upon hatching, the young turtles, known as hatchlings at this point, head for the open ocean. The ocean, while full of its own dangers and predators, provides a relative safe haven for the hatchlings away from many of the predators that live near the shoreline. These young turtles embark upon a journey that will take them upwards of 13,000 kilometers around the North Atlantic. Many animals make large and incredible journeys, but what makes the loggerhead turtle's migration so notable is the speed at which the animal moves. While many bird species make similar journeys, they move at velocities much faster than the loggerhead turtle. This slow-moving beast travels at the remarkably sluggish pace of only 3/4 of a kilometre per hour. This means it will take the turtle a minimum of 17,000 hours to complete its migratory journey, not even taking into account stops for feeding and sleep. To put that number in perspective, 17,000 hours is approximately 2 years of non-stop swimming. That the loggerhead turtle makes this journey alone makes it all the more impressive. From birth to adolescence to adulthood, the loggerhead turtle is a solitary traveller. But how does it know where to go? Doesn't it need a parent to help it know the route? This is where the loggerhead becomes even more fascinating. Recent research tells us the loggerhead uses the magnetic field of the Earth to determine its migration route. Because the Earth's magnetic field differs in each location around the world, the loggerhead turtle can use it as a kind of innate roadmap, illuminating the way to where they need to be. One example of this is the behaviour they exhibit when they encounter the particular magnetic field off the coast of Portugal. Instead of continuing north, towards the cold waters of northern Europe, they sense the magnetic field and turn around, instead heading for the warmer waters of northwestern Africa. And it is not just that the loggerhead turtle has a sort of innate compass. They are able to determine, with surprising precision, their latitude and longitude. They know exactly when to zig and zag to optimize their migratory pattern. Even with their incredible ability to know where they are and where they need to be, the survival rate of migratory loggerhead turtles is incredibly low. In fact, only about 1 in 4,000 hatchlings makes it back to the beach in eastern Florida to mate and lay its eggs. However, that any make it at all is an incredible achievement and one of the great natural wonders of navigation.
That is the end of section 4. You will now have half a minute to check your answers.
Okay, good. We'll check those answers. I actually just saw loggerhead turtles in a very good series on Netflix called La Palma, about a natural disaster, a tsunami. There's loggerhead turtles in that series, the Canary Islands. Okay, so most of us are familiar with these turtles. If you want to know what a loggerhead turtle looks like, I'll show you. The loggerhead turtle looks like this. Okay, it looks like that. There it is. Look at that pretty mama. I think she's on the beach laying her eggs or just finished. So that's a loggerhead turtle right there for you, in case you're wondering what it looks like. Beautiful animal. Okay, let's answer these questions together. So this is a flowchart. You have to look for some key content, like the loggerhead turtle has to seek dry land. Now, you're not always going to hear these exact words, but you'll hear something similar, and then you know you're well positioned for the upcoming question. So the sandy beaches of, what's the answer here, students? It's one word. It's the name of a location. That's right. Florida. Also the winners of the NHL Cup, beating the Oilers. Not so happy for us Canadians here, but yeah, the Florida Panthers. Florida, loggerhead turtles. Yeah, absolutely. Florida. Yep. Florida, one of the big famous states in the U.S. Beautiful weather, great sports teams. All right. The sandy beaches of Florida provide the perfect location for nesting. Yes. All right. Shahrani says, what happens if I make a mistake spelling Florida, like spelling it with a small f? Yeah, you'll get it wrong. Okay, so spelling is important. All right. After hatching, the loggerhead turtle immediately heads for the ocean. The ocean is safer than the shore because it has fewer what? And I think you can guess this again as long as you know the word. Fewer predators. And it has to be plural because it's fewer, right? So fewer predators. Yeah, those are two words that you should definitely have in your English vocabulary. Predator and prey. Okay. Predator, an animal that hunts other animals, versus prey, an animal that is being hunted. Okay. Tigers, lions, wolves are predators. Deer, rabbits are prey. Okay. Again, repeat these sentences. They're useful. The turtles embark on a journey that will take them something kilometers around the Atlantic. I think I remember this. It's 13,000 kilometers around the Atlantic. Yes, very good. A lot of you also got that, so it's good. And yeah, you can use the letter K, 13,000 kilometers. That's okay. It's even faster to write it that way, so it's a good way to do it. Make sure you have enough zeros. Don't put too many or too few or you'll get it wrong. That's right, Alexander. That's our one claim to fame, for sure. Okay. While long migratory journeys are fairly commonplace in nature, what makes the loggerhead's journey especially notable is the extremely something pace it travels at. Okay. Yeah, very good, Oral John. Very good, Shahrani. Very good, Ariadna. Sluggish, like the animal, the slug. It's the snail without a house. Sluggish. Yeah. And sometimes people will even say that. Like if somebody says, how are you feeling today? How are you today? Sometimes people will answer that by saying, I feel a bit sluggish today. I didn't sleep well last night, which is not true in my case. I had a good night's sleep last night. Okay, but this is one way to answer the question of how are you feeling today. I feel a bit sluggish today. It means you feel a bit slow, lethargic, tired, right? Anybody ever use that when somebody says, how are you feeling? You say, I feel a bit sluggish today. Okay, it's a good expression to know. Sometimes we're not having the most energetic day, and if you don't feel too energetic, then you can say, I'm feeling a bit sluggish, or I feel a bit sluggish today. Ahmed says, yeah, I tell people that all the time. How are you today? Oh, I feel a bit sluggish. Don't ask me to do anything. Okay. All right. Yeah, open up. It is worth knowing. Absolutely. Okay. The entire journey is equal to approximately something of continuous swimming with no breaks. How long? They say a lot of hours. I can't remember the hours, but Shakrani, Roshan, Ariana say, well, they say it's about 2 years. Yeah, 2 years. And use numbers when you can, for sure. 2 years. Of continuous swimming. Very nice. A lot of you got that. Well done. Well done. Okay, then we had this paragraph completion. Again, here you're also paying attention to some key content, not just the words, but content. Okay, incredible journey. A lot of this is paraphrased, I'm sure you realized. Maybe they might say amazing instead of impressive. The loggerhead turtle is a something traveler. So this is an adjective here. We can figure out the word form by looking at the surrounding words. Here's the noun. So this is an adjective. Shakrani says, was it solid? Not solid. Ariadna has it right. Solitary. Solitary. It's the adjective for alone. Anybody ever play solitaire on the computer? It's like one of the OG original games on the computer. A lot of people like playing it, especially older people. It's a card game. A good way to learn vocabulary, students, is to connect it with the knowledge that you know. Okay. Solitaire. A card game played often on the computer alone. It's a one-player game. right? There, solitaire. Yep. Hopping Up says, definitely not my cup of tea. Anybody know that game, Solitaire? I'm sure some of you must know it. I think like computers since the 90s have come preloaded with this game. If you go into the game section of your computer, you'll find the game Solitaire. Shakrani says, never heard of it. Oh, you can play it with real cards, right? People just mostly play it on the computer, but you can play it with the real cards, okay? Shakrani says, I'm not a big fan of video games. Actually, it's not a video game, Shakrani. It's a card game. Yeah. That's also on the computer. So anyway, if you play that game, then you know, oh yeah, okay, that's got to be some kind of a word. Yeah, solitary. The state of being alone. It's called solitude. Okay. So you want to learn word forms as well, like solitude, solitary. Okay. All right. I don't know about the Eye of Diamonds, Muhammad Amin. Okay. All right. And keep going. Always read continuously. So solitary traveler traversing the open ocean on its own for years at a time. Scientific research has in recent years told us that it is through a connection with the Earth's what? The Earth's something. Magnetic field. Yes, very good. A lot of you got that. Magnetic field. That turtles find their way around the ocean. Okay. For example, the turtles are able to sense something off the coast of some country. It's a location. One of you said this earlier. It should be capital, everybody. The coast of Portugal. That's right. Portugal. Country that's also very good in some sports like football. Portugal. That makes them change their direction and head for Northwest Africa. Possessing more than a simple compass, the loggerhead can innately sense it's something and longitude. Sorry, it's something and longitude. Now, if you know the word longitude, even if you miss the audio here, you can figure out this answer for sure. Yeah, or I'll jump very good latitude. Okay. What are these two words used for, students? Latitude and longitude. Quick question here. What are the words latitude? Again, words that are very good to know in English. Shuhan says for location. Alexander says for coordination. Yes, for coordinates. To geolocate any place on Earth. Yep. They're the arbitrary lines that we draw on maps to figure out where we are. Okay. Very precise. Used on a compass. Okay. And then last question here. Approximately what percentage of hatchlings make it back to the breeding ground in Florida? 0.025%, 2.5%, or 25%? They didn't say the percentage. They said 1 in 4,000, which equals 0.025%. Those poor suckers have a very high mortality rate, right? Not a very good survival rate. So the correct answer was A, 0.025%. Okay, students, how did you do? What did you get in part 4? And for those of you who were here last week, what did you get out of 40 on this listening practice exam? Okay, you can check those raw score marks on the website in the score calculator. Okay, so I'll put that link into the chat, everybody. You can do the score calculation there. So if you were here last week and this week and you got 30, that would be a band 7. Okay, if you got 35, it'd be a band 8. Okay, Ariadna says I got 38. 38 is a band 8.5. If you get 39, that's a band 9. Okay, all right. You can also check your reading scores. If you got 15, it would be a band 5. Okay, on your academic reading. Right. So that's the score calculator. And again, of course, you can join the premium version of our course by clicking these big red buttons. Use the code UP9 for you to get a 10% discount. And again, students, we have a brand new speaking video available for you. Great practice, excellent words, lots of good explanations for the speaking section. So that speaking video is up, and you can check it out with this link here. Okay, here you go. Students, that's the listening for today. Good job, all of you, for hanging in there and seeing it through. Tomorrow, we're going to have a speaking class here on YouTube. You're very welcome, Abraham. I'm hoping everybody enjoyed that class and doing a bit of listening, learning some maybe interesting facts about zoos and loggerhead turtles. I do recommend having fun with IELTS, so don't just look at it as some test that you have to do that's really stressful, but look at it as fun learning, learning lots of facts. The reading, listening sections are full of fun facts, so try to see it that way. Okay, hopping up, I'm glad you enjoyed the class. Students, I'm Adrian, creator of aehelp.com, gltshelp.com, some of the first online IELTS course materials in the world, and this YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe and join as many of these classes as you can to improve your scores and to succeed in your IELTS test. That's it for today. Wherever you are right now, smile, have fun, have a positive day, spread joy, spread positive energy, and I will see you back here tomorrow. Thank you, Carolina, for moderating the chat. Thank you, members and participants. Bye for now, everybody.